Hello guys, my name is Lizzy for those of you who don't know, and today I am going to be sharing with you the books that I read in October. This was a very interesting reading month because I kind of got in a tiny like eensy book slump, which I haven't been in a book slump ever, which I'm very thankful for, but I was in a tiny book slump, which I will tell you which book gave me that book slump once I get into it. But yeah, this month I read some pretty great thrillers, some mysteries, some romance, and I'm just going to get into the first book I read. Or shall I say three, because it's part of a trilogy. So the first three books that I read in October was the Shadow and Bone trilogy. So I'm just going to go through each of them and I will tell you guys my thoughts on them. So the first book that I read this month was Shadow and Bone, and I gave this book a 4 stars. I actually enjoyed this book a pretty good amount. I found myself really liking the storyline, liking the plot. I was like, oh, I can really see the potential in this story and to kind of build on that. And so this was just a really good introduction, a really great just story. And I was pretty excited to go into the next one. It's not like the most amazing book ever. It's YA. It was really easy to read, really easy to get through, which I did enjoy. That these books were just really easy to read. I didn't find myself, I just found myself flipping and not really putting the book down. So yeah, I gave this book 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I found myself not really liking the love interest, the main love interest in this book, and liking another love interest, which I guess I'm not supposed to like that love interest, but I like that one more than Mal. So yeah, I really didn't care about the romance at all in these books. That's just my opinion. I didn't really find myself gravitating towards them because I just didn't really see I don't know. I just didn't really like him. But yeah, so pretty good solid start. So the second book that I read is part of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and this is Siege and Storm. I gave this book a 3.5 stars, which I expected to not really enjoy this series, but my reasoning was that I felt like the plot kind of it wasn't building. It kind of, I don't know why I didn't enjoy it. I just felt like it was a lot of the same repetitive storyline where I was like, we're meeting this guy again, and then we're gonna run away again, we're gonna do this again, and we're gonna run away again, and it's I just didn't know where, I didn't see any development in the story. It kind of just felt pretty stagnant and just repetitive in the plot. The last book in this trilogy is Ruin and Rising, and I gave this one a 3 stars, and I gave this one a 3 stars because I felt like the same with Siege and Storm. This one just had a ton of the same repetitive plot and storyline, which I just didn't find interesting. I just found myself kind of just wanting to be finished and just get it done. I found myself wanting to get this over with just so I could say that I read it. It just was the same repetitive storyline. I felt like it got really boring. And then the end of this book was very underwhelming. I didn't feel like it, all of that build up in all 3 books to just end the way it did. I was like, this is not, I just didn't like how it ended. I felt like the main character deserved to just be the most powerful person ever, but instead it just was a very underwhelming, boring ending, and I just felt like we could have just skipped 2 books and we could have said in an epilogue in the first one that, I don't even know. I just know that I didn't love this trilogy. I'm happy I read it. I enjoyed the world and all of that. I love fantasy, but it just wasn't my favorite trilogy. So yeah. Okay, so the fourth book that I read this month was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and I gave this book a 5 stars. Guys, this book was literally so stinking good. This is the type of psychological thriller that I love. Like, the unreliable narrators, the like Alice Feeney literally manipulated me so much in this book. Like, she's an incredible storyteller. Like, her plot twists are insane, amazing. Like, I literally found myself just like having the chills multiple times reading this book. Like, it was such a great fall book to read. It was very creepy. It was very awesome. I really enjoyed this book. So yeah. Okay, so the next book that I read was The Goal, which I gave a 4 stars. This was Tucker and Sabrina's story in the Off-Campus series, and I found myself really loving this book. I loved Tucker so much. He was such a sweetheart, such a gentleman. I really loved his character. He was so sweet, and I feel like Sabrina was kind of like harder, and she needed like a sweet, softer guy like Tucker. And for those of you who don't know, this is the pregnancy trope in this book, which I'm not always a big fan of, but for some reason in this one, I think it's just because I love the characters so much, I found myself really enjoying that trope. Like, I felt like it really brought them together, and it made like such a cool, interesting, like different plot to the book, whereas they're not really building their relationship. It just was really, I liked it. I was surprised that I liked it. I was like, oh, I'm actually finding myself to enjoy this trope in this book specifically. I won't seek the trope out, but because I am reading this series, it was that trope, and I found myself actually enjoying it. So yeah, I just can't get over how sweet Tucker is. Tucker is just such a sweet guy. So the next book that I read was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I gave this book a 4 stars. So I definitely enjoyed this book way more than the whole Shadow and Bone trilogy. Like, I found the storyline, the characters, the plot, I found it very interesting. So I definitely enjoyed this book. I found myself liking the characters, liking the plot way better than Shadow and Bone trilogy. I loved Cass and Inej. My one qualm with this book is the multiple POVs, and I am the kind of person who, if you give me multiple POVs of like 6 different point of views, I find myself getting very confused and kind of losing interest, because it's like my brain has to switch from like different interests, different POV, different thoughts, different people. Like, it kind of got too much. Like, it got too busy for my brain. So that was a qualm, and another qualm was the backstories. Like, there's multiple backstories, which I don't mind them sometimes if they're needed, but for this one specifically, like, it just felt like there was like an excessive amount of backstory that I truly don't think I needed, like, at all. I needed like some backstory for the characters, but then they would just add on to it, and I was like, I really don't care about it at this point. So I got into this book, and I was expecting to like literally love it so much, because so many people love this duology, and I just found myself like being like, okay, I definitely enjoy it. I like the characters, but there are just like the qualms that I mentioned, and I was just like, it kind of turned me off a little bit. But that's not saying that I didn't enjoy this book, because I definitely did. And then obviously after Six of Crows, I went into Crooked Kingdom, which I gave this one a 4.5. So I definitely enjoyed this one way more than Six of Crows. I found myself liking the storyline way better, the plot way better. So I definitely did enjoy this one more, but the same qualms in my first one are the same in this one, like the multiple POVs, the same backstories that I was like, didn't we already get a backstory? Like, why do we need more of a backstory? Like, I just was getting kind of bored of the backstories at that point. So another thing that I wish these books had was just more romance. Like, I felt like I was like loving the main romance, and then I was like, wait, but it's not even a romance, and then you find out that nothing even comes from it, and I was like, it just feels like I don't know, I just wanted more. Like, I that's all I wanted out of this series was more. I wanted more, like, I don't know, just, I didn't get that 5-star feeling. I didn't get that, like, oh my gosh, the series was just so good. I love the characters. I love this. Like, I had my problems with this book. And so I'm kind of really sad that I didn't enjoy these as much as everyone does. Like, I kind of feel like a FOMO about it because I want to love a book as much as everyone else loves it. Like, especially if it's a very widely loved series like this one. Like, I just was so excited to read it, and then I just came out kind of underwhelmed. So for that reason, after I read Crooked Kingdom, I found myself, like, not really wanting to pick up a book. Like, I was like, I just felt very underwhelmed by those books, and now what if I feel underwhelmed by the next book? Like, that was my mindset. So I didn't read for, like, maybe 3 or 4 days, which I always am constantly reading, or I have a book that laying around that I'm reading, like, but I didn't have a book laid around that I was reading. So I was like, am I in a book slump right now? Like, I felt like I looked at my bookcase and I was like, what if I'm underwhelmed by the next book I read, just like Crooked Kingdom? Like, I just felt kind of scared that I wouldn't enjoy another book. So with that said, I decided to pick up another Alice Feeney book, and this is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, and I gave this book a 4.5 stars. Guys, this book was just so, gosh, I honestly, the way that she tells her stories and just the, like, plot twists, and just, like, I literally felt myself tearing up because I had chills so fully. Like, I had chills. Like, my husband saw me reading this book, and then I read a plot twist, and I was literally like I was frozen. I was literally frozen. It was such an amazing, this was just such a great book. Like, I just think Alice Feeney is a mastermind. Like, she's literally a mastermind. She's crazy. She's an amazing author. Like, I have grown to really love her psychological thrillers. So I definitely enjoyed this one. And I was like, oh, okay, so I do still enjoy books. Like, I definitely enjoyed this one, and I was happy to see that I enjoyed it, because I got scared for a second. I was like, shoot, well, now I don't know if I'll enjoy any other books if I didn't enjoy those, which are so widely loved. But then I read this one, and I was like, oh, this book was really good. Then I got a really exciting package in the mail. And that package was It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, and I gave this book a 5 stars. Obviously, I loved Lily and Atlas since It Ends With Us. Like, I fell in love with Atlas. I know some people didn't. I know some people didn't even enjoy this book because, I don't know, it didn't have any twisty, turvy Colleen Hoover twist, but I didn't expect any twist in this book. I just expected a Lily and Atlas love story. And that is literally what I got. I annotated literally so much of this book. Like, I just love, it was just exactly what I needed. Anyways, I gave this book 5 stars. I literally loved it so much. There's nothing else needs to be said. Like, this book was incredible. Even though it has some from the people that I've watched and read this book, they didn't enjoy this one, which I guess if you don't really like Atlas or care about him, then you won't enjoy it. Or, like, if you're expecting, like, a twisty book, but we asked for more Lily and Atlas, and that's what we got. So I don't know what people's qualms are about this book, that they were bored. I wasn't bored. I literally found myself enjoying this book literally so much. So yeah, 5 stars. And then after I read It Ends With Us, I went into Layla by Colleen Hoover, and I gave this book a 3.75 stars. So this one was so interesting and weird. I literally read this book and I was like, what the heck am I reading right now? And I felt very conflicted and confused about it. If you've read this book, you know that it's kind of weird. I was like, am I really reading this right now? Like, is this this is where we're taking the book? Okay, I don't know if I can get on board with this. Like, I felt kind of weird reading it. I don't know, but I liked it. I enjoyed myself reading it. Like, I enjoyed reading it. It was just kind of weird, but it was a very interesting book. I don't really know. I don't really have any more thoughts on it. So, yeah. Okay, guys. And then the next book that I read was Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. And guys, oh my gosh, I loved this book so much. I gave this book a 4.5 stars. This book was just so great. Like, it was such great fantasy, such great romance. It reminded me of like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, like, but romance. Like, the vibes of this book was just like incredible. The aesthetic TikToks that I saw of this book, I was like, I love it. I literally love it so much. Like, it was literally the perfect book to read. It's a chunky book, but I loved the romance. I loved just the whole fantasy element. Like, it was a really, really great book. So yeah. And then after I read Dance of Thieves, I went immediately into Vow of Thieves, which I gave a 5 stars. Guys, this one, the plot of this one, the storyline of this one, it was just so interesting and so just like, I need to know what happens. I need to know what happens. Like, it was such a huge page turner. I loved the romance. I love the found family in this book is just so incredible. Like, her friends, our main character, her name is Cassie. Her friends are just so perfect, like perfect for her. Like, I just love great found family. And Jace's family, like, they're so close. They're just so sweet. And I mean, you know, it's a fantasy book, so they all want to kill each other, but then eventually they like kind of hit a point where they're like, oh, I like you. And then you just get this amazing found family element that just for some reason makes books so much more likable, because I think that it's a sense of like comfort and familiarity. When we see found family, I just think it's so comforting when a book has great found family. So yeah, I gave this book a 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed that duology. It was a really great like end to my month. So here we have the 12 books that I read in October. It's a very, very pretty stack, I have to say. I enjoy the aesthetic of this stack. It's very mysterious. So guys, that is my October wrap-up. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys have read these books this month or read them in general. Let me know how you feel about them. I have some pretty exciting videos planned out for November, which November is also my birthday month, which, you know, is always an exciting thing. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all those things you guys know how to do, and I will hopefully see you in my next YouTube video. Bye.